The straw man. Well, I'm currently in a debate where the term has been leveled at me a couple of times, or the implication seems to be that I'm employing the straw man. My antagonist, and I mean that in a nice way, antagonist as opposed to protagonist in a friendly debate, seems to imply that I'm employing the straw man in order to make a point. Now, I would look at that kind of statement in two ways. First of all, saying that you believe that someone else is employing the straw man seems to imply that the person knows that what they're doing is somewhat dishonest, clever, and slippery, and is doing it anyway. I'm not saying that that's guaranteed that you're implying that you know this, but it does seem to say that the person who is accusing the other of straw man knows that the other person is being dishonest. Now, that is not clear. You don't know whether or not the person is employing straw man or simply making a mistake, or perhaps the third possibility, which is almost certainly the correct one, I'll get to that later, is that the other person is not accurately conveying what they actually mean. Regardless of how good their command of the language is, I don't believe that human language is up to the task of conveying ideas accurately. So, first of all, I believe that it's strawmanish to assert that someone else is employing the straw man, paradoxically, because what you're doing is essentially, by accusing the other person of putting words into your mouth, or accusing the other person of distorting your arguments, in a sense, you're accusing them of accusing you of something that you don't know whether or not they're actually doing. Anyway, that's one objection that I have to the straw man. The second one goes an awful lot deeper, and it's kind of paradoxically the opposite of the first one. In order for me to refute anything that the other guy has to say, or to debate it, or even to understand it, I have to assume that I'm grasping what he is attempting to convey to me. I have to assume that I have some notion of what his opinion is, or her opinion, as the case may be. I have to assume that while I'm talking to this person and I'm refuting or debating or questioning certain ideas that he has, I'm able to actually understand, grasp, or even get a notebook sketch of what his ideas are. Now, I don't really think that that is a realistic expectation to place on human communication. Human language isn't up to that kind of a nuanced task. I don't ultimately know what's going on in my own head, at least in coherent enough fashion to categorize it all in my own head, let alone to use language, which is a flawed tool, to convey it to anyone else. I don't believe that language is up to the task that we expect of it, in other words, or human communication. You can throw in any other type of communication you want, body language, art, poetry, anything. I don't think that it really works. It works well enough, but it doesn't really work to the extent that we assume that it does. Therefore, the only way that we have to make any sense at all out of what comes out of the mouths of anyone else is our friend, the straw man. To say that I understand what another person is saying is to distort it. Yes. If I am going to say that I understand what another person has said, in a sense, I am strawmanning that person. Because there is no way, in my opinion, that I can really understand what another person is saying to me in the context of a philosophical, political, or debate of that nature where everything is highly subjective, because human language isn't up to it. Have you ever had, as I say, a discussion where you argue for hours and then suddenly it dawns on the two of you that you agree in the first place, and you're arguing for no apparent reason, but the reason is, of course, that you've been unable to communicate your respective points of view to each other. So, in order for me to make any sense at all out of what you're saying, and in order for you to do the same thing to what I'm saying, you have to make a thumbnail sketch of it, and that's a distortion of it, and that's a straw man. Whether or not you're doing it on purpose, you might be doing so in all honesty. You may be attempting to sort of say, okay, this is complicated, but I think I know what you're talking about, and this is what I agree with, and this is what I disagree with. That, in a sense, is a straw man, because I don't think that anyone has the capacity to say that they understand what the other person is thinking. As I said, I don't even think that we have the capacity to understand what we ourselves are thinking. We don't know what our minds are. We don't know what consciousness is. So how can we possibly say that we understand what the other guy is thinking? That's why I sort of think that this term straw man is both abused and necessary. It's a strange paradox, but I think that maybe we have no way out of that paradox. And I think that if we keep these 2 points in mind, these two seemingly contradictory points in mind, a lot of the disagreement in this world will get a lot less acrimonious. Thank you.